First question is from Paul Hendrick at Elise TV. Please go ahead. Your line is now open.
Hi, Dave. Good afternoon. Why the need to add Jonathan Bernier when you've got a player like James Reimer? And a second question to that, how much potential do you think Jonathan Bernier has moving forward?
Well, I mean, first of all, we think, and I think most teams feel, that goaltending is, maybe the most important position in the game today. This is clearly not a knock on James at all. James has done a very good job. He's improved every year, and we're expecting that to continue next season. But I don't think you can be deep enough at that position. We got younger and deeper today, and we feel our team is stronger because of it.
You mentioned the experience factor, and I guess that people are going to ask you that James has more games in the NHL than your new goalie, Jonathan. Is there something to be said for a guy that's been around the league and been practicing and playing in the league and being around longer than James, even if James has more games?
Yeah, this wasn't necessarily an experience factor move. It was, we feel we've got two of the top young goaltenders in the league right now. And both of them, we feel, have the potential to be solid number ones. And in terms of games played, the one thing you could say about Jonathan Bernier is he played behind arguably the top goaltender in the league today, and that's gonna hamper your development or the number of games you're going to play, no matter how you look at it. From an experience standpoint, we don't still have the guy with 7 or 8 years, but we do have James who started and played some important games now in the postseason. Jonathan Bernier played very, very well this year when his team needed him to play well. He's been through the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he's seen and been around players that have won the Cup. So we think it's a pretty good pair.
Thanks, Dave. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you were the GM of that World Championship team where both those guys played on. But could you comment on that and also your own personal experience with Bernier and maybe any conversation you had with him today? Yeah,
I was manager of the team that had both those goaltenders. It was a short tournament, so it's always hard to be certain, but they seem to get along well. James is very easy to get along with, and Jonathan seems to be the same, so I don't think there's ever going to be a personality issue or conflict there. And they got along well there. They both played. They play a little bit different styles, but Jonathan, I think, gives us a different element and a different type of goaltender than James Reimer. Again, when I talked to Jonathan today, I told him the same thing that I passed along to Reims, which is, nothing is being guaranteed to anybody. It's a situation where we feel that we're deeper. Both have great potential, and you're going to get an opportunity to develop and hopefully realize that potential. And so I'm looking forward to getting both of them together. I think it's going to be a very good fit.
Dave, so many teams try to find franchise goaltenders. What is there you see that in Jonathan Bernier, if anything, that leads you to believe he's got the potential to be that kind of goaltender?
Well, again, he's still young, and I still think that he's got a long way to go in terms of development. He's a lot of goalies continue to get better well into their late 20s and early 30s, and I think that's something we can expect from him as well. The people that have been around him, and again, I've been around him for a short period of time, but you talk to the people in Los Angeles and players that have played with him, he's an extremely hardworking young man. He's very determined. He does have a pedigree of success. He's played well in games he's played in Los Angeles. His numbers this year were excellent. So that, there's always a gamble when you're taking a young player, but we felt that the gamble was worth taking, with the upside that we think that Jonathan has. So, as I said before, from our standpoint, we're pretty happy to have two goaltenders of this caliber, on our roster.
Hi, Dave. Just wondering, did you actually reach out and speak with James Reimer after this move was made, and if so, how did that conversation go?
I didn't reach James, but I did leave him a message immediately, and I expect that we will talk in the next day or two. And I expect the conversation will go very well. James is a confident young man. he's made some significant strides. He's done an excellent job for us, and I think that he's two things. He's a good teammate, and he's competitive. So this shouldn't be looked at as a knock on James at all, because it's not. I also believe that when you have someone pushing you, you get the most out of yourself, and I think that's the situation here where these guys can push each other, and we're gonna see some good goaltending because of it.
Hi, Dave. When this trade was made, I guess there's a two-parter. The first is, was this worked on to the point where you were confident the deal was going to be made for him, or in terms of a contract extension just because of his free agent status coming up? And second, does this free you up to make some more moves now with maybe some movement that has been made? Can we expect a domino effect from this?
Well, there is no contract in place, and we have not discussed one. Jonathan is a restricted free agent. I don't believe there'll be difficulty getting the player signed, but you never know that till you get into it. But I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to reach an agreement with him. In terms of a domino effect, I believe there's going to be some pieces available between now and free agency, and for a lot of different reasons. So, are we looking to possibly add some other pieces? Yes, if there's a piece that we think helps us long term. This deal we've worked on for months. We felt it was the right time to do it, and if there's another deal at any other position that we think will help us, then we'll move towards making that change.
Dave, I wonder if you could tell us how long this deal has been in the works, when you sort of started kicking the tires on Jonathan Bernier, and what role, if any, Tim Lewicki had in completing the deal.
Yeah, we started this. It was within the first week or 2 weeks of the season. We were close a couple times, but there was always something that kind of stopped the deal. Dean reached out at the end of the playoffs and said that they were gonna move Jonathan, and would we still be interested? So it just picked up speed again. But we talked off and on again for months. And with respect to Tim's part in it, this isn't one where we made a deal with Los Angeles because Tim's on board. It was Tim I know knows the player, and I believe he really enjoys him and thinks a lot of him. But this deal was in place, or most of it was in place months ago, when we just found a time that was right for both sides.
And if I could follow up on more a bookkeeping thing, I believe you're keeping some cash. Your $500,000, I think, was the number I was told. Are you able to do that just once or twice a year, or is this it for you in order to hold cash back in a trade to make one happen?
Well, I'm not going to comment on the number, but in terms of the function, you can hold cash back on 3 players and 3 transactions.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from Mike Brophy at NHL.com. Please go ahead. Your line is now open.
Dave, the pro scouts I talked to today have indicated that this is a guy who should be a number 1 goaltender. He's the 11th overall pick in the draft. Is it your hope that he comes in and takes the job?
It's my hope that both these guys are prepared for the job. And that's something I think that we, as an organization, wanted when we looked to make this deal. That both guys have the potential, both of them want it, and that can only make your organization stronger. And it's funny how some people look at things. Either you don't have enough depth in net, or you have too much. I don't know. I subscribe to the notion you can never have too much. And if Jonathan Bernier becomes our number 1 goaltender because he plays better and stronger, and Randy feels more comfortable, then that's what happens. And if James, won't give up that net, and he's the guy who's our starter, then that's fantastic too. But I believe these are both good people, and they're both going to work tremendously hard to try to take that job, and that can only be good for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. The next question is from Mike Zeisberger at Toronto Sun. Please go ahead. Your line is now open.
Yeah,
Mike?
Dave. Just just wondering, as obviously you mentioned this a little bit, but as you move forward, are you still optimistic about the wiggle room that you've left under the cap as you move forward into more trades and free agency?
Well, it's going to get tighter. No, there's no question about that. But we're in a much better position than a lot of teams, so I can't really complain with where we are. We're going to have to watch what we do, and we're going to have to be fairly strong in terms of negotiating contracts with our restricted free agents. And I wouldn't rule out making another move or two if something presents itself. So we're a little tighter than we were 12 hours ago, but I think at the end of the day, we'll be fine.
Thank you. The next question is from John Abbott at Lease TV. Please go ahead. Your line is now open.
Dave, good evening. You talk about potential for other moves. How important was the timing for you to get this done before the draft, and how vital can that weekend be in setting up perhaps other deals?
Well, this wasn't one that had to get done before the draft, but I'm actually glad it did, because it does possibly present some other opportunities. Also, we've created a hole in our organization, so now we might be able to approach that and try to fill that hole between now and the draft. So I'm happy that it did happen then, but it just was more Dean's timing. That he was obviously in the postseason a little longer than we were, and he wanted to take his time and see what other deals were out there for Jonathan before he pulled the trigger on the one that we had in place.
Thank you. The next question is from Lance Hornby at Toronto Sun. Please go ahead. Your line is now open.
Dave, can you talk about moving Fratton and Scrivens on? Already Komarov's not coming back, and not sure about Bozak and MacArthur. Can you just talk about perhaps filling those holes from within if you don't get what you want, either through free agency or something trade-wise?
Yeah, those are obviously things that we have to deal with. Again, we're not unlike most teams. We only have so much money to spend, and we have to move it around wisely. Leo's move to Russia was I wouldn't say it was unexpected, and it's totally understandable. We know the position he was in, and I understand why he did that. We have some players that have pushed hard and have played well with the Marlies. It'll be given every opportunity to take a job at camp. And again, I wouldn't rule out more roster moves with respect to trades and free agency. So, we're going to be active, but again, we have to make sure that we're spending the money wisely in order to keep this moving forward, and we want to make sure that we give our young players an opportunity to perform. So, I think between now and July 5th, you'll probably see a couple more moves from us, and we're going to work hard to do that anyway if we possibly can between now and then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please press *1 on your telephone keypad if you have a question at this time. And the next question is from Jonathan Jackson at CBC Sports. Please go ahead. Your line is now open.
Hi, Dave. Thanks for your time today. I'm curious about the draft pick going to Los Angeles, either in 2014 or 2015. How and when will you decide which year that will be?
Well, we have right up until the draft to make that decision. We'll likely, unless we move a pick that will force us to solidify that, we'll likely wait right up until the end and see if there's a player there that we think we would like, that it would be important for us to have, or if we'd like to move it off. But we have right up until the second round in the 2014 draft in order to make that decision.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And once again, there is a question from Lance Hornby at Toronto Sun. Please go ahead. Your line is now open.
Just one more, Dave. Are you happy that we'll never have to ask you about Roberto Luongo again?
Well, yeah, no, it's this one here was one that made sense for us. I know there's been some talk about bringing a veteran in. I openly talked about it at the deadline. And if there was a veteran that we felt that was going to be able to help us, and that was available at the right price and the right term, we would have considered that as well. But again, this one here, in terms of the age group and the potential, was one that we felt was a better situation for us.